Okay, so I was invited to write this for PMEA News. I think 2019 is when it came out. That's the local state, so Pennsylvania magazine of NAFME. I was teaching at Penn State Altoona at the time. It's called Peace, Place, and Then, a Practice of Silence. In silence, I sit. From the library overlooking the pond on campus, I watch the rainy morning, the soundscape inside, a heating system, hushed whispers, keyboards, contrasts with the landscape beyond the window. Unheard raindrops quickly patter on the sidewalk and pond. Many ducks stand by the water with their heads tucked into their wings. One duck bouncily, repeatedly bobs under the water, and others root through the muddy lawn with their bills. Students pass by the window under black umbrellas. In my ears and my eyes exist contrasting ecologies, soundscape and landscape, including both human and non-human creations. Here I silence myself and become more conscious of this place. I ask for the graces needed to cultivate peace during today's workday. I find peace within, and then I can begin to work on teaching music, the work of teaching music. On some days I walk at a park. The soundscape of local parks is a type of silence, but not an absolute silence. Rather, the sounds are the natural musics we've evolved to dwell within. And those sounds are unlike the soundscapes inside of school buildings. This meditation is as important to me as lesson planning. Today I prepare to facilitate a listening response to Alan Hovhaness's And God Created Great Whales, student presentations on Amy Beach and Pauline Oliveros, and a free improvisation reusing pitched mason jars. Through daily meditation, I fortified myself for the day's uniqueness, the unexpected success and failure, and direct my attentiveness to what matters most to me as a teacher. Without silence, there can be no music. Composer Toru Takemitsu talks about the importance of silence in Japanese music. And this is a quote: between this complex sound so strong that it can stand alone and that point of intense silence preceding it, called ma, there is a metaphysical continuity that defies analysis. End quote. And in his guide for cultivating peace, the monk Thich Nhat Hanh discusses our mind as a garden. Quote, we know that if we water the seeds of anger, violence, and fear in us, we will lose our peace and our stability. We will suffer, and we will make those around us suffer. But if we cultivate the seeds of compassion, we nourish peace within us and around us. End quote. The beauty of the earth. At times it feels like I'm hired to educate students to leave home, but not to become effective forces for sustainability in their hometowns. Utah music educator Vincent Bates discusses agrarian values. Our decisions and actions inevitably affect the ground upon which we live, end quote. Recognizing that all of my choices as a teacher in Pennsylvania, which musics I include, pedagogical approaches I take, musical concepts I emphasize, and how I interact with my students are connected to the land, helps me understand that music education can help, in a small way, repair our world. We're uniquely situated as music teachers for placing our pedagogy in ecological contexts. 1, we can take students on a field trip, a walk, to listen to and record, for instance on an app such as Smart Recorder, the soundscape. For a description of soundscape and many audio clips from our national park system, visit the NPS website. 2, we can send students home to talk to their grandmas and other community elders and to record the songs they sang when they were young. This can provide repertoire for an informative performance that is imbued with local meaning. 3, we can talk with community members where we teach and sustain locally important practices, such as parades and other performances at local venues. 4. We can use recycled instruments in the classroom, such as homemade shakers, old jars filled with rice. These often sound better than the ones we purchase. 5. When we use technology, we can choose companies with less planned obsolescence. 6. We can make plain ecological messages of the musics we teach, whether folk songs, multicultural musics, or band, choir, and orchestra repertoire. I wrote about many opportunities for this type of pedagogy in a book, Eco-Literate Music Pedagogy. An example of ecological ideas within repertoire, Dave Maslanka wrote his Symphony No. 4, quote from Maslanka, "The central driving force is the spontaneous rise of the impulse to shout for the joy of life. I feel it is the powerful voice of the earth that comes to me from my adopted western Montana and the high plains and mountains of central Idaho." End quote. When I teach, I want my students to understand both how to perform well and to understand the central driving force of the music. Much of the music I enjoy and teach, from Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony to Libby Larson's Misa Gaia and Emily Doolittle's Falling Still, is considerably ecological at its source. Popular music and jazz also have ecological messages. I think we should help students learn music for the joy of life and for the beauty of the earth. Listening deeply and compassionately. As a final part of an ecological teaching approach, which is rooted, we want to, as much as possible, be here with our students. There are times when I am unable to listen deeply to the needs of the students in my care. Perhaps I am stretched thin from administrative tasks or facilitating standardized tests. These taxing parts of the job are displaced. That is, they are national or general responsibilities, not local ones. I feel the weight of them and have talked with many other music teachers who do as well. Our students don't always respond well to school's national and general responsibilities. Sometimes our students come to us hurt and angry. Another quote from Han. If we have not been able to embrace and transform our own hurt and anger, it will be difficult to listen to another person's suffering, especially if the other person's speech is full of negative judgments, misperceptions, and blaming." End quote. The structure of schooling often cultivates in students misperceptions and blaming of teachers, administrators, and society in general. How hard is it, then, for us to listen deeply and compassionately, to cultivate peace, when so much of what we experience during the day is not self-directed or locally oriented, is the opposite of peace? But if we as music teachers cannot listen, who in the school can be expected to do so? My pre-teaching meditation is one small step. Through a meditative practice, I can relive successes, be inspired with new ideas, and allow the music of the soundscape, birds, insects, and winds, to dissolve my disquiet, and focus my pedagogy on that which, to me, matters most. That's it. So I did have a note on the planned obsolescence to exemplify. Apple and Samsung were fined in October in Italy for slowing down older devices to force consumers to purchase new equipment, which creates excessive waste. And then I have the link to that. I also have a link to Dave Maslanka's notes on Symphony No. 4. I always liked his website, as well as references to Bate, Thich Nhat Hanh, and Toru Takemitsu, the composer. Have a great day.